Peep, it's your boy Nick, HOUTX Trader, coming from Houston, Texas, right after the hurricane. You guys, we're out here marking these charts up and taking these trades on generator power. Come on. It is 7/12, July 12th at 6:45 in the morning. Look, guys, the intention of this video is I'm going to start with a brand new chart. I'm going to look at EU. I'm going to mark it up from top to bottom from scratch. I have not looked at EU in a while, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should start trading a Forex pair like swing trade status. And so I'm going to start with EU, and hopefully you guys will watch this and you can take this markup and this breakdown of how I'm doing it start to finish, and maybe use that for yourself. So this is just for training. This is not financial advice. If you need financial advice, please go see a planner. So let's get in here. Uh, Also, before we start, let's take care of a little housekeeping, guys. Go buy a Bored Ape. Go buy a BitDogs. Go buy a Vtopia. All right, on the NFT marketplace, there'll be a link to my dot card below. Go check out my dot card and go look at those NFTs. Look at Andy Peters' Discord group. Look at all that stuff. I have my own section in Vtopia where you can look at all my trades. I have my own section in Andy Peters. Um, Discord and in the Bored Ape Solana Club Discord, right? So if you buy a Bored Ape, you have free access to all my stuff. If you buy a Vtopia, all my stuff. If you like Discord, pay to get into Andy's Discord, and you get all my stuff, Andy's stuff, and a whole bunch of other people. So, all right, that's that. Let's share my screen. Let's do screen numero trace. Okay, here we go. All right, guys. So the first thing I do with EU or any pairs, I'm going to come out and I'm going to look at the monthly. All right. So what I did here is I marked off the monthly low. That's the only thing I've done so far. Let's go ahead and lock that in place. Okay. So now, I mean, this is a long time ago, right? That's September of 22. So as you can see, we're playing inside of this low and inside of this high. So I want to mark off this high then. Let's actually just do this. Um, we will select that one and Control C, Control V, and then we will just unlock it and we will move it up. And let's just say that right now that this would be the high. And the reason why I chose this for the high is because all these wicks are closing below it. Okay. Now, that's not necessarily tell me that I'm going to trade off of that line, but I definitely need to know where that resistance is kicking in. Also, if you look, let's go to the line chart. Okay. Look, this is what I like to see. Come to the line chart because now I can see high, high, high. Unfortunately, this low is below. It does meet this one here, doesn't quite get it, and does meet these ones here. So if I was doing this another way, perhaps you could take this line and you could split it. Let's say you would put the line right about there. Let's just say, for example, right? It's just below these highs, but it also catches these. See how this overlaps? This overlaps and it almost touches those. So you could do it that way. I'm just going to go up top. I'm going to come right there. All right. And now I'm going to lock it in. If we're on a smaller chart, like a 1 hour or 4 hour chart, maybe I would move the line a little bit south. But since we're on a monthly chart, we're not trying to get too crazy on the monthly chart. We just want to see what's up. All right, let's go down to the weekly then. Okay, so in the weekly, we had a good push up. So overall, I mean, overall, right? If we look at the weekly, we're selling. Okay, we're selling. We had a retracement, sell, retracement, sell, retracement. Okay. So overall, we're selling. Okay. I want to know that. So here on the weeklies, here locally though, we see the big sell, retracement, one, two, three push, and then reversal, retracement, right? And so we're kind of seeing these waves, two, three push. We're seeing these waves. So we have not broke this lower low, but this lower low did break this. So really, in my brain, this probably still needs to come up some. So if we take a fib and we go top to bottom, okay, where are we at? 61.8, perfect rejection. This is now right here at the 50. And this is kind of like how you know your fib's in the right spot. You can also use this fib back here. Like it doesn't have to be just this new data. So if you see that this fib hits 78 perfectly, 61.8 perfectly, here's the 50%. It's starting to find resistance. It found it a support here. Not perfectly resistance here, but that's pretty damn close. 382 is finding support. We had some support. We had some resistance, 236. You get the point, right? So overall, this makes sense. Now, what you could do on this fib is you could move it maybe down to this low. Okay. So with these fibs in these higher time zones, move the fib. I don't want you to look at where the mouse is. I want you to look at price action and see where the fib is and move it to where you think it looks the best, right? Maybe you think it looks best right there. I personally would not do that. I want to see more. So I move it up and I like in this area where that 61, all I'm looking at the 61.8 and the 382 and see how that 61.8, 382 kind of perfect right here. 61.8, 382, how it's kind of matching in this zone. And where's that at? So that top is right here next to this one. So then what I'll do is I'll move my fib to right there. So that's the fib I'm going to use then right here. I mean, from here to here is not much difference from this side to this side, but this is kind of the beginning of this move because when it hit this top, it sank and never came back. Okay. This one did have a retrace. So that technically is the beginning of the sell, the high, but I mean, hell, you could even call it way over there. But anyways, I'm going to go off this one, the local last high before it has been retraced. Okay, so now what I want to do is start looking at some order block areas. So we see there's some consolidation here, and we see there's a bottom here. So what I'd like to see is this bottom right there, because for me, this would be the order block. Okay, now again, we're still very, very high up. I'm just saying this so we kind of have an idea of what we're wanting to do. Okay. Also see that this is a support and this is resistance, and now it's finding it as resistance. So I'm going to delete these for now. We'll just, we're just thinking about that. But what we really need to do is concentrate here. Like on the weekly time frame, it's still so far away that we need to come down a little closer, but we just need to recognize what we got there. So let's come down to the daily. Reset the chart. So then if I know on a weekly that this is resistance here, right? The 61.8 is being our resistance, which is also the monthly, it shouldn't be monthly low, it should be high. It's because we copied and pasted and it stuck. Okay, so that's the monthly high. Let's go back to the monthly. Reset this. Remember how we had the monthly comes up to this area. It might wick above it, but it rejects it. So that's a strong resistance on the monthly. Wick, 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 wick. Okay. Let's come to the daily. Reset the chart. Let's go to the line chart first. So now what I want to find in this daily is the same sort of, well, up and down is what I call them. Okay. I call them up and down. So let's go to the line tool. Just click anywhere in the line tool and we can drag this. So let's look at where we're at now. Yeah, I see this down. This down here matches up with this down, with this down, with this up, with this up, with this up, with this up, this down, this up. Okay. So there's a good little zone right there. Let's see if we can dial this in a little bit better. Okay. Let's say right there. Let's name this daily. Okay. And maybe we'll change the color on it. Let's make it orange. All right. Let's lock it in. Okay. Control C, Control V. We'll paste it. And let's see if we can find another one. So now I'm looking at this up here. Maybe this up. Okay, this up. This down. This down. Okay, so I kind of like this. Okay, I also see there's that white line, which that means that's a fib from another area. But what I'm looking at is this up, how it meets this up and down, meets this down. It's not really the best. I'm not gonna lie. Up here, this area. Okay, so what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna put it right in this area because on this chart, what I'm thinking is broke up, support, excuse me, yeah, support broke through resistance, right? So this is not the best. You see, kind of did here, support broke through resistance. Okay. I would have liked this low to be lower like this one, but it is what it is. It peaked above it and then came right back down. Support, 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 resistance, 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 resistance. Okay. So now that we have that on the daily time frame, we see that the monthly high is up here, right? So perhaps what we could do is get a wick up perhaps like a wick up and then close, the candle body closes down in this area, or the same thing. It could come up here, wick this area, and the body closes here to go back down south, right? Because we're seeing that it's resistance, right? Support, resistance, resistance. Okay. This technically, I would have liked for it to stay below here, but it did just peak up and come right back down. So it is what it is. I'm not going to get too cautious on that. Okay. So now what we see then is this double top formation. So what I'd like to do is start drawing out my fibs and my Elliott waves, right? So on the Elliott wave side of things, we see there's a 1 push, 2 push, and then we have not completed the 3rd push yet. Okay, there's a nice order block sitting here. We're still on the daily, but I'd like to see one more push on the Elliott wave to get us down to below these, to at least this bottom. Okay, so let's just zoom out just a bit. Oh yeah, because now look, you see how this area then, all this area is a lot of bottom, 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 and we have a fair value gap, if you will, like a large area here where there's been no retracement. Okay, so then what I'd like to play this as then is this being taken out as liquidity. That's going to be our target. Okay, that's going to be our target. There's liquidity below this area right here. This low, this low, this low. We have a small little order block, bing, bing, and then we have some ups, some buys here, right? So again, monthly lows here, right? Right in this area. So I'd like to see this market pierce this area, come down somewhere down in here, perhaps even find this monthly low before it starts to buy back off. And then once it does buy back off, come and take all of these sell orders up here. Now I'm also looking at this from this time frame. I also see kind of this here. See how it's losing momentum? I'd like to see that. All right. So that's what my plan is. So if we come back down to the more local area, I'd like to see this sell off. So now where's our fib at? So this was the high and this is the low. And I'm not using anything else because this is a lower low, but it didn't break. Okay, so we're still inside this Fibonacci. Okay, so again, I'm using this and this because this is the high and that's the low. This is a lower high and this is not even a lower. This is like in between. So I'm not using these. I'm going to use this one and this one. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm using these two. All right. So, I mean, you could even, honestly, you could even probably use that one. And I know that it's in between here and here, but again, we don't want to go too crazy. Actually, let's use this one. And the reason why I say that is because now I see this whole area as liquidity. All right. I don't want to enter too early. I want to make sure that I'm entering the best possible spots. So for me, what I'd like to see is this market then come up, find this 88.76 zone, which is also the monthly, right? And then start to sell off to come all the way down to break out this guy over here. Okay. So then what I'm going to do then is mark off. Let's clean up. I'm going to mark off this area. We're going to call that our sell zone. All right. This is going to be our liquidity. We want liquidity. So for us, or for me, I always want to see liquidity get taken out before I enter. I need to see liquidity get smashed. All right. So that's my fib. Let's just see if the Fibonacci then makes some sort of sense, right? So this is our top. Tighten it up just a little bit. This is our bottom. What I want to do is just move this again just a little bit to see if these levels are playing out. I mean, they're not exactly perfect, but you can see that, you know, the 61.8 it got hit. It's respecting this zone between the 61.8 and 50, right? The 38.2s had some support, had some resistance support. The 236, that's an order block right there on it, popped off, order block right there on it, resistance, right? Resistance, resistance. So I think the Fibonacci is in a good enough place. It's good enough for me to work with. So now what are we seeing on the RSI? So right here, we have a high, but again, we're not overbought anywhere until we hit way back over here on the RSI, which means nothing. So right now we're in the middle of the RSI. So really, I'm not even using it. I'm not even really considering it. But what I am thinking is is if we get a push here, okay, this is what I'd like to see. Push here, retrace, push, retrace, push, gone. Okay. Now, if that happens, okay, so this is a swing trade, so I have to wait for this. Okay. So, like, it might be another week before this happens, but I'd like to see this RSI get up overbought, come down, overbought one more time, come down, hit the line, hit the 70 line or damn close to it, and then sell off. Okay. If that happens, then what we'll have is divergence at the exact, let me make sure this is, better. Let me make sure it's perfect. I don't want to have be confusing. Okay. Okay. So now the highs and lows line up there. Okay. So at the same time, this will be like this. Price will be getting higher. As these peaks, three drives will be getting lower. And that third peak should be the highest and also just touching the 70% RSI oversold. So this is what I'm going to do then. I'm going to wait. So this is going to be my anything in between, let's say here, all this is going to be my no buy zone. I'm not going to screw around in here. All right, no trade zone. All right, because we're looking for a swing trade. We're looking to catch bigger moves. I'm not even going to fool around. This is where money's going to get taken. This is where this liquidity bouncing back and forth is going to get messed around. If you want to trade inside there, by all means, go ahead, because you know that this right now, this area is a good resistance, right? So you could probably enter here right now and catch a trade to the south. But are you going to catch it from here to the 38.2 or the 26? Is there pips to be had? Yeah, there's pips to be had. But there's also very dangerous because this market at any moment could pop above this and take this liquidity. So you could be selling and you could technically be liquidity because it's going to come right through there and smash you. So I don't want to do that. Okay. I see there's an order block sitting right here. Again, I'm just looking. I'm just recognizing these things. I'm not necessarily saying I'm trading off of them, but there is an order block there that already got retouched. That's gotten retouched. All right, so this needs to get taken out. This order block that's right here, all this liquidity back and forth needs to get taken out. At the same time, guys, what is this? We have no sell candles anywhere in this whole area. Excuse me, buy candles, right? There is nothing in here. So I don't think this is the perfect definition of a fair value gap, but for me it is. Right? You can call your fair value gaps whatever you want. But for me, look, there's no buys. This whole area is virgin ground, right? This needs to get hit. Okay. So if we say, now let's look at how we did that. That is from the top to the top of these candles. So all of this area where my fair value gap is virgin. No candle has came back and touched that. Okay. Let's throw a little extra sauce on this. If we take this area from the top to the bottom, what we just said, let's extend it out. This line is 50%. Okay, I have this tool that's called the fib fan or gain fan box. I have it set to 50%. So if you come in here, go to settings, levels 0, 50. Okay, that's that line. 0, 150, all the rest of it's turned off, as you can see. Again, just the levels, which is the shading, 0, 1, and that's it, right? There's 50% right there. 50% of that fair value gap happens to line up, guys, right here with the 88.6. So it's like, hey, man, we're starting to stack some confirmations. Okay. We can delete all this stuff. We'll just leave it on there for the hell of it. Okay. Now let's look at more confirmations. Let's look at the fib from here to there before it retraced. 61.8 is kind of high. Technically, it was there before it retraced. Okay. So 61.8, if we look at that and we say that that's the start push up here and then had a decent retracement, okay, that 61.8 is lying right where 88.6 lies and where our 50% lied on the other one. So now we're not really sure where this is, just for shits of it, let's just look at that one. Okay, it's below. So that doesn't really help us much. But we are forming, I'd hate to do that because it broke, but we are forming another leg. Okay, I don't know where it's going to turn around, but this is the high here. Let's do that again. Elliott wave here to that's technically the high. There's the retracement. So we're still looking for a second leg. As long as it breaks this the height of this A, it counts. Let's just say it's here. Then we'll look for a retracement somewhere, and then we'll look for the third leg. So if we get a Elliott wave like this, I'm super excited. Let's delete some of the stuff and clean up. All right, delete, delete, delete these paintbrushes. Okay, so we understand what RSI is then. Now look at the Elliott waves in here. What I really like to do is to measure. Now I understand this hasn't printed yet. This is just, an example, but we'd like to see the second leg, let's say print to here, and let's see where our 236 and our extensions are. So as long as our 236 and one of these extensions inside of our sell zone, I mean, it could even be here. Like the second leg could even technically top out, right there. And then our 236 will match up with our 88.6, which is our 61.8, which is also 50% of the fair value gap. So I don't know where this second leg is. I'm just saying that there is a possibility that it ends up in this area and that the other Fibonacci lines up. Okay. If that's the case, let's just say that this Fibonacci, this price right here comes up in this area. We could technically wait and buy that back up. Now, I wouldn't go so crazy and say to sell, but you could, right? Because then you could, let's just say this comes up. Let's say that this price comes up to this area here. We could then sell and hopefully catch this all the way down, right? Maybe that's it. But there would be a strong possibility, or at least a possibility, of this retracement down, coming back up, knocking you out of your trade, coming back up into this area, and then selling off. Okay. So we have to at least be aware of that perhaps on this first entry, if we do catch this here, where the C is, maybe that's where we start taking some profit a little early, and we leave a runner just in case. That might not be the Hail Mary swing play because we might get a little E this up here that comes up a little bit higher, right? So um, we're just planning. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I wanted to break this down and show you guys this. And then I want you to keep doing this, even if you go down to the 4-hour or 1-hour chart. Right now that we know where all this stuff is, okay, and you're trying to, okay, all right, Nick, well, if it's going to come up here, and sell off, well, then how do we get into buys then? Okay, well, we got Elliott wave, Elliott wave, Elliott wave, right into a order block. So now we're on the 4-hour chart. Now look, here's an order block. Okay, we've had our Elliott wave, 1 push, 2 push, 3 push. I don't know what happened to the RSI. Where'd my RSI go? Why did that happen? Let's go backwards. Why did my RSI disappear? I didn't even notice that it disappeared. What the hell? Give me 1 second here. What's going on here? We don't need that. Where did my RSI go? RSI here. Why is it gone? That okay? For some reason, I pushed that button. Okay, let's go back. Let's delete this. We don't need this right now. And we'll delete this out of here. Let's go to the 4-hour, like I said. Okay, so maybe if you can see, we had on the 4-hour, or let's just look at some trend lines. We haven't even talked about trend lines yet, but here's a trend line, right? It broke. Okay, so where's the next trend line then? On the buys, here, here, here. It bought up. So where's our next trend line? So let's just take this trend line over and we'll move it over to here. Okay, delete this one. We don't need this one yet. So we're nowhere near breaking what would be a known angle of the trend line, right? That's the previous trend line. Let's just put it to this low. It's nowhere near. So we're not close to breaking trend line yet. We are, however, overbought. Let's look at the reset here. Let's look at the RSI. We have a higher high, so that's not divergent, but this higher high is here, and it's getting weaker, but also the price is getting weaker. So we're still building. Okay, we're still building on the RSI. We don't really have a sell signal yet on the 4-hour, We come down to the 1 hour, different story. Overbought, which was same on the RSI 4 hour. We're getting higher. So I think that there would probably be an opportunity for a sell coming up because we've already know that this is a resistance area here. Okay. If we Fibonacci that, we're obviously going to be at a double top. So we're already at the 88.6. Okay. Internal waves. Okay. I'm going to change this time frame because I don't like all this choppiness in here. So personal preference, let's go to the 2 hour and see if we can clean this up a little bit. Because right now we're looking at a hell of a lot of data back and forth, and it's too much data. It needs to be streamlined a bit. Okay, so let's go to the 4 hour. Let's reset this chart. Okay, this looks way cleaner. Okay, 4 hour looks way cleaner. Just not so much BS. And we can see on the 4 hour, we can see these waves better. Okay, we can see the first one. We can see the second one retrace. We can see the double bottom on the third one. Okay, like you can see it better. So don't be afraid to change what time frame you're looking at, because each time frame is going to give you something, and it clears it up. Okay, so on this side we see a push up, sorry, so we see the completion of the Elliott wave. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the Elliott wave has completed. We are getting into a double top situation here. We do see that there's like an order block here. All right, we have retouched that order block. We are in a strong daily support resistance, so we know we're getting there. We've also, we call this an order block and a double top, but really, if you look, that's a top, and we haven't quite hit that. But here, we're getting into this whole area, basically what I'm saying, right? So this is not a bad sell. We are overbought. Perhaps we could just be a little bit more patient. And what we could do, let's come down to the 30-minute, reset this, and wait for this divergence to pop off. Okay. So what we're going to do is the same thing as on the daily is on here. We have a top. Okay. We're overbought. Came down. This is now overbought on the RSI, but it's not higher. So I still think that this needs to come up just a little bit higher. Then come down, and you either take your sell there or you wait for the third touch. And then you drop the ball and the bomb. Okay, so I still think it's a little bit early. It's not a bad trade if you wanted to take it here. Let's delete this. If you did want to take it here, again, it's not the best trade. Okay, it's not the best trade. Let's just come back out just a little bit. I know that we had that trend line down there, but you also see that there's one here. Dot, dot, structure. So it hasn't broken the trend line yet. And really, if this is the bottom structure, it hasn't broken the structure yet. So, or even this structure for that matter. So what you'd want to see if you want to start selling them is hopefully the RSI divergent like you seen earlier. But if you don't get the RSI divergent, you want to at least see it break this trend line, or you want to see it in this area here break this structure. So once it breaks and closes down here, you could then wait for it to pull back up. You could Fibonacci this move from here to there, and then look to sell it in this area here on the retest of the trend line or something, right? So we are not in sales yet, but if you started from top to bottom and you wanted to come down, we're on the 30-minute chart. This is what we're looking to sell. But we needed to start from the top and the monthly and the weekly and all that to understand what we're really waiting for. We're really waiting for buys up here, right? Excuse me, sell zone up here. Let me replace that and lock that. We're really, so are these sells here going to be the holy grail swing trade? So no, probably not. Okay, so what are we looking to do? Well, if we take a sell here, right, and we break this, maybe we start taking profit right here, and that's our profit. That's our trade. We let the rest go. We let the runner go. Is what I'm trying to say. We need to have that higher time frame understanding of where we think the market's really going to go, and that way we understand where to take our profits, where we understand where to enter, blah blah, the whole deal. Okay, so we know that we're closer to this daily support resistance. We're not going to be buying, right? We're not going to be looking for this to break out and to buy. That hell no, right? So we need to know where we're at in the grand scheme of things before we move on. So that's it. That's the breakdown from top to bottom. We're on a 30-minute chart. We're being patient to see if we can get a little bit higher push up, or if it does break trend line and break this area here, which you could consider structure. If it does break these areas, then we could wait for a sell up here somewhere. We'd put our stop loss right above that high, and then our target is going to be down here. Right, there's your trade. So we're just waiting for that. You know, um, there's a million other ways to trade, but we're seeing the RSI overbought, and it matches up with everything else. So, all right, guys, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoy that. Put some comments, all that good stuff. All right, this is just for training, not financial advice. Go buy a Bored Ape, go buy a Vitopia, go buy a BitDog, holler at your boy, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.